Is it art? We think so. So we have bought our Smart, which stands for Swatch Mercedes Art, to the British Ironwork Centre in Shropshire to see if it fits in, and we kind of think it does. So let's take a look around this car. We have driven it hundreds of miles now. What are our thoughts after hundreds of miles? So let's start with a deep delve into what a Smart actually is. It was actually the brainchild of a man called Hayek, who worked at Swatch Watches. They made very colourful watches. He had a dream of a personal car that would be electric powered, be very, very tiny, and like nothing else on the road. He originally spoke to Volkswagen, and they did some thinking about it, but it was Mercedes-Benz he later went to, who thought, yes, we can do this. So this was a ground up, fresh design. It owes absolutely nothing to anything else. Has a 3-cylinder turbocharged engine mounted at the back and a 6-speed automated transmission. It's actually a 3-speed gearbox with 2 final drives, giving a total of 6 gears. Remember the super selective Mitsubishis? A bit like that, but all automated. As a driver, you can put it in automatic mode and just drive it without having to worry, just like a conventional automatic, sort of. But it is just 2.5 meters long. Which makes it very, very small indeed. It is shorter than an original Mini, although of course it does not seat 4 people. That said, there is a boot here at the back, which is a bit of a faff to get into on a cabriolet, a bit easier on the conventional hatch, and as you can see, swallows a certain amount of junk. And as this clip shows you, it actually swallows quite a lot of shopping. And actually you can get a week's shopping for a family of 4 in a Smart. Moving to the front, no access here at all. These grills can come out to give access to the coolant to top it up, and also the screen wash, and to the wiper motor. These can seize up on occasion, but I have to say, what gets me every time is just how cute these cars look. I actually prefer the earlier almond lamps. This is the later peanut ones, as they're known, but yeah, it's an astonishing thing. The silver is what this car is on its V5, because these plastic panels can be interchanged. You can swap them over to change the colours if you fancy. You could have several sets and change them as suits your outfit. It was one of the things that was always very key early on, was that these cars could be very much personalised to your individual tastes. I quite like numeric blue, but about 400 quid I could probably buy a set of panels to make this one numeric blue. It's tempting. While we're at the front, we'll just notice the incredibly skinny little tyres, 145 on the width there, much wider on the back, plenty of grip. We better head inside. Jumping aboard, and I'll straighten the wheel. It's very grey and dull in here, to be honest. I apologise for the mess. We are very much on the road today. Earlier Smarts had a lot more colour. You could have these in different colours. You could have this trim in a different colour. They were much more lively. When they started making them right-hand drive, in I think it was 2001, 2002, for some reason they also made them incredibly dull in here, which is a bit of a shame. It definitely needs livening up a bit. We've got a little Smart radio by Grundig, a CD player. There's a little oddment tray, a bit of a deeper oddment tray than I realised there. And this one actually has the optional air conditioning, not that it blows very cold. I think maybe we have a bit of a leak. The compressor kicks in, but yeah, not the best. We've got a little ashtray down here. Obviously we've taken that out so we can use the 12-volt power outlet. You can optionally get a cup holder, just the one, to go down there as well. And what else have we got here? Oh, is that what goes into these things? And it looks like you can move them around as well. We've got twin airbags, this being a slightly later one. And of course we've got the Cabrio roof, which yeah, isn't the best, as we'll find out on the road test. There are some issues. We've still got fun things like the little vents. I think are nicely done. Look, you can give yourself even extra demisting power if you so wish. The little stubby stalks are a bit clunky. I think they were carried over to the second generation, and we don't have flappy paddles. Some models you could operate the gearbox through paddles on the steering wheel, which would be a good thing. Here is the gear selector, a bit like a Saab. We've got the key down here in the middle, button for the roof. If you press the button once quickly, the roof goes back to its maximum position. If you press and hold the button, the back end will then drop, and then you can remove these bars at the side. But to be honest, not sure there's much advantage in that. We prefer having the flexibility of being able to close the roof as you drive down the road. But lots of space here. The seating position is offset slightly. The rear seat goes further back, so you've got plenty of shoulder room. It is a nice spacious place to sit, but not necessarily the most comfortable. The seats are quite firm. And another minor downside is on the doors here and there, you can see the button for the electric window switch. It's this one here. There is no button over here to control that window, so you kind of have to lean over. Bit of an oversight. They corrected in the second generation Smart, but they made so many changes throughout the Smart's life. But this is actually a Mark 7 in 2006, with the Smart launched in 1998. But yeah, it's a nice place to sit. There's good visibility forwards, although rear visibility compromised quite badly by the chunky pillars, and on the Cabriolet, the awful plastic rear window. The second generation Smart had a glass window on the Cabrio. I'm not sure how they made it work, but somehow they did. So under here we find the 3-cylinder engine. This is the second generation engine, 698cc, 61 brake horsepower in this version. The Brabus had a fair bit more, and I think you could get a higher performance version as well. This engine a lot more robust than the earlier one, the first 600cc engine, known as a bit of an oil burner. It is an absolute pig to work on, as you can imagine. We've got this tiny little hatch. You can't even see the alternator. We've done a starter motor replacement on this, which was quite involved. Once you know what you're doing, they're not so bad to work on. You just realise you have to drop the rear subframe for almost any job. But it's a nice little engine, and it makes nice noises, and because of the turbo it has surprisingly good torque characteristics. But access, definitely not, get in there, a strong suit. So it's just gone 9 o'clock in the morning. We are jumping back in time, and we're about to set off on this 100-mile drive today. I
didn't know we were time travelling today.
Yeah, because we're already there in video time.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that clever?
Cool.
Amazing. So yeah, we are setting off now, and I'm not going to drive. You're going to drive.
From here?
From here, yeah. You don't have to drive all the way. We're sharing the driving today.
Yes, but I've never driven this vehicle.
Well, you've got to drive it at some point.
Yes, but I haven't got used to the controls.
Well, I thought you'd better do that on familiar roads. It's going to be fine. It'll be fine. I mean, that's going to be a separate video, but we are going to get on our way and make our way towards Oswestry. Here we go then. First I have to unlock the car, even though the car's unlocked, or it won't start. And we did give it a quick one of them. You don't have to hold the starter, it just automatically does its thing. And I'll tell you a bit about what it's like. Backwards into reverse. Make sure there's no one behind us. Reversing not the most fun because the visibility is awful, but at least it is small. We can't work out if it's got power steering or not. It sort of, I don't think it has, but maybe it should have, I don't know. There we go, automated clutch, cuts in, and away you go. Suspension is very, very firm, but thankfully they've blasted over the huge pothole that was here. It was absolutely terrible.
It was bigger than Shemmy.
It was huge. Right, there we go. As soon as we're moving, pretty much into second gear. I prefer manual control of the gearbox. The automatic is very dim-witted, and of course it can't predict. You can look at a hill and know you need to stay in a certain gear. The car can't do that, so often it changes at really inopportune moments, so you're better off in manual mode. $50. That was 60 miles an hour. It's not the quickest, about 13.5 seconds if you really go for it. What really slows you down is the gear changes. Just to get up to 30 is 4 gear changes, and they're not very quick changes, but although much is made of them, the reason we're doing a really long-term test drive on this car is so we can really get a feel for it. And in truth, after a few hundred miles, I'm getting very used to the gearbox. I'm learning to predict it, even in manual mode, the speed it'll take to do a gear change. So it does get a lot easier the more you drive the car. So I can see why an awful lot of people do love these cars. Smiley Transit, hello. It's certainly not the perfect gearbox, but every review of the Smart ends up criticising the gearbox, and I think actually for its time it's not bad. It's nice to not have to use your clutch foot, especially in traffic around town. You can just pop it in auto if you're feeling lazy. Yeah, it isn't the awful gearbox, but a 10-minute test drive will leave you thinking it is. There are some genuine downsides to the Smart. The cabriolet is quite noisy. If you drop the roof back even more, you can kind of fold it down right behind you. The noise gets even worse, and at that point you cannot hear the engine at all. And given there's no rev counter, they're optional accessories that sort of bolt in here, clock and rev counter. It's really hard to hear what the engine's doing, and when you're first getting used to the car, you really need to be able to hear it to know, am I in the right gear? Because you get these arrows, but this arrow was just telling me to go into 6th gear at 45 miles an hour, which it won't pull. The computer is not always right, if you can believe such a thing. So yeah, you can fold the roof further back, and then you can take these side pillars out, but to be honest, having done that, it just seems to make it noisier and more unpleasant. It's better to do this, and then you've always got the flexibility of at whatever speed you can just press the button and shut the roof again. Unfortunately, our example, the roof doesn't seem to fit very well here, so it's actually more peaceful to have the roof open than closed, which doesn't really make all that much sense. The other major downside is the ride comfort. It is very firm. The first Smarts had a transverse leaf front suspension. These later ones have McPherson strut, but it's still rock hard. I think to try and make it more stable, if the body roll was too intense, they would fall over more easily. I think that's why they are so horribly stiff. The same fate also befell the Mercedes-Benz A-Class, which also performed spectacularly badly in the Elk test. But really, yeah, we're liking this car a great deal, actually. I think more than I expected to. But the comfort, the seats are also quite firm, means I'm not a fan of it for long distance trips, which is a shame. 6th gear is particularly tall, which means it actually goes down the road really nicely. I think a fixed top one would be a lovely thing indeed. For say motorway speeds. This is starting to get quite loud because of the wind noise. Mirrors are also a bit small and rubbish. Someone has fitted blind spot mirrors very wisely, but yeah, it's a strange one. Despite the fact the gearbox is imperfect and the ride comfort is in very short supply, I really like it. I just love the styling. I much prefer the interior styling of these to the Mark II with all the curvature going on. And I prefer the exterior styling as well. I think it's a really pretty, really unusual looking car. In terms of overall economy, first tank to tank we did wasn't amazing. We'll hopefully do another one on this test. It's 52 mpg, but that did include sometimes spent fault fighting when we had the overboost issue. It therefore involved some overboost, which would have used more fuel. And yeah, it's a little disappointing. Our Charade with its 1 litre non-turbo engine, I can get more like 55, 56 in the same sort of driving. Like I say, we'll see what this tank does. They were never regarded as super frugal machines, I don't think. The diesels were, They really can be, but 45 brake horsepower, I think, means they are a little sluggish. I'm still keen to try one. I've never driven a Smart diesel. Little common rail triple. Be an interesting drive. But let's carry on to our destination, which you have already seen because that's where we started the video. Just makes perfect sense. There is something else actually I forgot about the driving position. Actually, there's a couple of things. One is the steering wheel just feels too upright to me. I don't like the angle of it. I find it makes my wrists quite sore. That could just be a peculiarity of myself. The other one is the windscreen wipers, which I realise we haven't tested in this video yet. So let's give them a go. Oops, may have got the passenger with a screen wash. And they don't come very high up the windscreen. And the seat is not height adjustable, so all this unswept area here is right in my line of vision, which is less than perfect. The wiper again doesn't come very close to the edge of the windscreen on the driver's side of a right-hand drive one, so it is a bit geared up for left-hand drive. Well, there we are. We've covered about 200 miles today. We've covered 500 miles at least since getting this car back on the road again, so I feel very qualified to say I like it. I know it has flaws. I know the gearbox is not perfect, but actually you really do get used to it. The ride comfort is, well, it doesn't exist. There is no ride comfort, and I find the seats a bit hard as well.
I like the seats.
I am starting to ache a bit. My camera lady finds it very comfortable indeed, and was certainly having a lot of fun, which you will be able to see in a future video. But yeah, I just can't not love it. I've driven loads of Smarts. Every time I've sort of gone, oh, but it doesn't do this well, it doesn't do that well. I'm still hugely drawn to them. It must be the looks. It's like a cute puppy that keeps on pooing on the floor and eating your favourite slippers. You just look at it and instantly forgive it. So that is very much how I sum up this car. The roof is kind of hopeless, really. It's very noisy, open or closed, and it makes it quite impractical. I think a proper hardtop Smart is a better bet, but to be honest, today we've enjoyed being able to get plenty of fresh air. So there you go. It is flawed. It is also for sale. It will say in the video description if it still is, but unfortunately we can't keep them all. It's quite cheap to tax. It's only 35 quid a year, but the insurance on top of everything else, it is all adding up, and we've got other cars that need fixing. So much as we do actually like it, we probably need to focus on the family cars a bit more, and indeed, well, you can get shopping in it. It just hasn't got enough seats. But yeah, we are very glad to have finally ticked the box. We have wanted to own a Smart for a very long time, and we did. So huge thanks to the people who gave us this Smart all that time ago. Huge thanks to Matt Pink and his friends for coming and helping me fix this, where I got really quite stuck trying to get the starter motor changed. And huge thanks to you for watching. We don't know where this little car will go next, but hopefully it has many happy miles left in it. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget you can head to the HubNut store and buy lovely merchandise. Sadly, nothing Smart related. We'll see you in a future video. Farewell.